Welcome to the OCall podcast. Today we're going to be talking about MI BOLC and how to prepare for it. Today's guest is my Battalion S2. She's a second lieutenant who just recently finished MI BOLC and got thrown straight into a Captain KD position when she got to her unit. Welcome, Claire.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So keeping OPSEC and classification levels in mind, what can you tell me about the BOLC experience? Where was it and how long was that course?
So the MI BOLC is 16 weeks, and that's at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, so 1 hour south of Tucson.
Okay, interesting. And is that a PCS move or is that a TDY en route?
No, it's just a TDY en route. So for me, I graduated college, commissioned. I went to Fort Knox as CST cadre for 6 months, and then I went to BOLC. So went to BOLC, and then BOLC, for me, covered the span of 6 months, but it's only 16 weeks. But due to Christmas and other holidays, it took a lot longer, and then now I'm here.
Nice. So tell me about the living conditions. Were you at like a hotel because it was TDY?
Yeah, so for the TDY, we were in an IHG hotel. There's two on base. There's the IHG complex, and there's also the Candlewood Suites. As a second lieutenant, you'll be in the IHG complex, which is really nice. Everything you need is there. And then there's also a gym that's 24 hours that you can also facilitate.
Nice. And earlier you mentioned about the hotel before filming. You said something about accruing points.
Yeah, so something really nice about the IHG reward system is that as soon as you check in, if you give them your name and you have your IHG rewards set up, you will accumulate all those points even though you're not the one paying for those hotel rooms. So at the end of it, you should end up with around 200,000 points, which equals a lot of free nights, because about one hotel room just off points is about 20,000 points.
Dang.
So yeah, lots of free vacation.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that.
Interesting. So tell me what the first thing you do when you get to MI BOLC, like in processing, like how did that go?
So on day one, you'll show up about midday. You'll be in OCPs and you'll check in. You'll get your cadre, everything like that. And then they'll start assigning the staff positions and your first rotation of leadership. Leadership rotates every mod, which we'll get into later, but just know that like that first day, make good impressions because those are the people you're going to be working with for the next forever. So yeah, moving on from that like initial getting guidance, you'll start PT on day 2. So you're going to hit the ground running, literally. So for any MI soldier, or lieutenant, you're going to do a battalion commander run. It's going to be up Heritage Hill, and it's going to gas you, okay? It's a slight incline, but it's a gradual incline, so just know in your mind that when you show up, you're going to be running.
And you know how long approximately that was?
So it's approximately 4 miles. The thing that nobody wants to talk about is there is a 4,000 feet elevation gain from sea level. So if you're from the coast, get prepared for the elevation gain. Some people do suffer from just the pressure that you're gonna feel in your head. So the moment you get there, maybe even on day 1, just take a walk or take a hike and just don't overexert yourself, but just have that in the back of your mind.
And then earlier you mentioned staff positions. So what are those different staff positions that you have to do? Right.
So on day 1, they're gonna ask for people who want to be on the staff of your class. So you're gonna have an S1, you have an S6, you'll have a PT officer, and all those things. And basically they will help facilitate passes and leave. So that would be the S1. For S6, you're gonna have all your computer access. That's gonna be all together. And then for the PT officer, that's gonna obviously be facilitating those PT plans, but each individual will be leading PT. So they're just responsible for making sure that the cadre is informed on what that
will consist of.
Exactly.
So are those just volunteer positions, or do you get graded on those staff jobs?
So those staff jobs, every staff job will get a MILPA at the end, and those MILPAs are your evaluations. So throughout the course, you're going to get evaluated for different leadership time you serve, and for those staff positions, you won't have a leadership rotation. So that is your position, right? So you'll have it from day one to when you graduate. So
Interesting.
it's a pretty big commitment.
Yeah. So you mentioned Common Core before this. What was that, and when does that take place?
So right after in processing, so you'll do all your paperwork, making sure finance is good, all that. You'll go right into Common Core. So Common Core consists of uh, shooting all your qualifications, land nav, as well as just some intro briefs to get your feet wet with MI and also just how to be an Army officer.
Okay. And you had like any online courses or academic tests during that time, or?
So during that time, the only thing that we were expected to do was DISFIC, which is Digital Information Systems Foundations course. And that course is going to provide you a baseline of all the systems that the MI has on a unclassified level. So it's a good intro, and they've changed it to where you do it sooner in the course just so you have that baseline that you can build on.
Gotcha. Interesting. So do you have to take an ACFT or anything while you're there?
Yeah, so in the first 30 days that you're there, you'll take an ACFT. Just mentally prepare for the fact that the elevation game is going to be pretty atrocious. Thankfully, in those 30 days building up to the ACFT, you'll be doing pretty intense PT to facilitate just acclimatizing to that elevation.
So in MI BOLC, there's some modules that you have to do. It's a little different than what I experienced at ABOLC. Can you explain to me what those mods are, how many, and like what they are?
Yeah, so after you do Common Core, there'll be 5 different modules, Alpha through Echo, and then after that you'll do a Capstone. Those 5 modules are going to give you that baseline understanding of how to be a military intelligence professional,
Nice.
as well as a military professional as an officer. So one of the biggest things with that is making sure you are doing your homework, doing all the assignments they grant, and honestly just taking it seriously, because that first module, which is Mod Alpha, that one is just your baseline of how to be an officer. But then once you get to Mod Bravo, you're going to hit the ground running. You're going to have a lot of material. It's going to be pushed really fast. So making sure you take copious notes, as well as just engaging with the instructors. If you have a question, don't hesitate. Just ask. And some of these instructors, this is their career, right? They've lived a whole career in the intelligence community, so they have some really, really good resources.
Nice. So in Mod Alpha, do you have to do any kind of like papers, memos, any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so in Mod Alpha, the only big assignment is that you're going to do your welcome introduction memo. The biggest thing with that is making sure your formatting is correct. They're going to give you all the details of what you need, but you can research that before you even get there to make sure you know the standards all in publication already. So there's no reason why you should get anything less than an A on that.
Nice. And then for the modules, before we move on, is there like a focus on like the LISCO environment, the coin? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, so in the first 4 modules, so Alpha through Delta, you are going to be in a LISCO-focused modules. So all large-scale combat operations and really focusing on that near-peer threat. Whereas in Echo module, that's going to be a focus on coin, so counterintelligence and
Like counterinsurgency type
yeah,
stuff.
excuse me, counterinsurgency.
So what kind of stuff can you tell me about Mod Bravo? Like that was the intelligence professional stuff. Like what kind of homework did you have? Any papers? Like what do they need to know about Mod Bravo?
Yeah, so for Mod Bravo, the biggest thing is you're going to have homework all from the regulations, so you're going to be putting it into your own words. These homeworks can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how intensely you go into these regulations. The biggest thing is making sure you do the homework. So they do a completion grade for those, and just making sure you're just helping yourself by making sure you have them squared away.
Okay. And with those regs, do they give you the hard copy or like a digital copy that you can control F and search for stuff?
So they do give you a hard copy for everything. However, everything can be found online as well. So if you're more of a digital guru, I would definitely recommend
Army
saving
pubs.
them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Army pubs and saving them all to your desktop.
Yeah. So you said there's a paper in Mod Bravo, number 2, and that's on national security paper.
Yes.
How's that?
So for the second paper, this is going to be your first like research paper base. It's going to be on national security threat. So for mine was the cybersecurity threat for the U.S. Electrical grid. So it can range in a vast quantity of subjects of what you would want to talk about. And as long as it gets approved by your cadre, you're good to go. So
Nice,
if you
interesting.
have an interest, would recommend pursuing that.
Yeah, and this is also the phase where you start talking about IPB, right?
Yes, so in Mod Bravo, you start talking about intelligence preparation of the battlefield. It's now commonly known as intelligence preparation of the operational environment.
Interesting.
So these are just things that you would want to know, like terminology, when you come into just the MI schoolhouse. So one thing about IPB that's also important to note is that you have this is all your analysis that the MI professional is going to be briefing the battalion commander or any commander in that capacity. So it's going to be important that you use this mod to really hone in on your skills and also just get that baseline understanding from the homework, because there is a reason why they're making you do homework. It's not just college 2.0. Okay, so.
And then earlier you mentioned additional programs that you can get certificates from while at this course. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so during Mod Bravo, this is going to be your time to kind of self-select if you want to do any courses that are additional to the coursework. So one of them is the Forging Leaders program, and this is a big factor in your PT and how PT operates. So in my class, I had 40 people, and 20 of them did the Forging Leaders program, which means that they had to do a book study at the end of the course, as well as they do a separate PT 3 times a week, which is much more intensive, more CrossFit style led activities, as well as their own professional development courses. So it's just important to think about these things. Like if that's something you want, if you do that, you will get a AAM at the end of it.
Nice.
Whereas if you're maybe not, that's not your calling, but you would like to do a different course, you can do the Forging the Basics Rapid Team, which is an initiative that was founded at Fort Huachuca to prevent against sharp and EO. So that's going to be really beneficial just if you want to be that stronger leader in the future.
Nice, interesting. And so, like, do the members in the classes? You said like half and half. Do they like physically split, or do they just like do different things at different times and meet up later in the day?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. So when you get to this Mod Bravo portion, you will start to have a physical split of PT. So for me, I just did regular PT, so for me, it just looked like nothing changed. However, for the Forging the Leaders that were pursuing that program, they all broke off and did PT separately. So they had their own OICs of that program, and so it would be a physical split. But then on 2 of those days, we would come back together. So for us, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays would be everybody, so all
Gotcha.
40 people. So
Okay, interesting. So moving on to Mod Charlie, how does it change from Mod Bravo? Because you're still doing IPB, but it's different, right?
Right. So when you get to Mod Charlie, the biggest thing is that you transition from just memorizing and dumping information to now you're putting all that information to practice. So you're going to take timed product tests. So you'll be expected to not only know the information in your brain, but actually put that into practice. So you'll have acetate, you'll have markers, you'll have conops and opwards and all that you'll be digging through and then actually making the products in real time. And then they'll be graded to a standard. So
okay. And then do you have any like additional papers during this phase?
yes. So on top of all these bigger tests that are much more stressful in my opinion, one of the biggest things is you also have your third writing assignment. So it becomes due at the end of the module. So all the tests become due at the end of that module. So for this one, it's a Mod Charlie paper, but it'll come due at the end or going into Mod Delta. So that one, it's a paper about national security again. However, it's each talk, which is basically your squad or your table you're sitting at, will be assigned a country. So for me, I was assigned Russia, and my whole team, we broke it down by Pomesky A-scope, and we all had to talk about a different aspect. For me, I talked about socio-cultural aspects of Russia, now that affected national security, but everybody would talk about something different. So some examples would be China, North Korea, Iran. So
Interesting.
everybody's going to talk about something, and then that comes into play. So you can't just like phone in that paper because you will brief about that paper in Mod Delta. So in front of
Okay.
all your peers. So make sure you take it a little bit serious.
Nice. So talking about Mod Delta then, these group projects, are there like new positions that also come into play?
Yes. So towards the end of Mod Charlie, you start seeing people stepping up into S2, AS2, and IC roles, and it's kind of just get your feet wet. But as soon as you make it over to Delta, it's expected that you guys are going to be graded by those positions. So now it's not only you're just a student working on a project, you're being graded as a leader. So
Nice.
making sure your team is staying on track, making sure they understand what they're supposed to be doing. And obviously it's peer-to-peer, right? So just having that mutual respect is going to get you very, very far.
Okay. And then this is also, you said, when you brief the stuff you did in Mod Charlie?
Yes, so in Mod Charlie, you're supposed to, so my class was a little bit different just because of how the holidays lined up, but you'll go through a bunch of products as a group in your talk, and then once you get over to Mod Delta, you'll get basically a freebie brief. It's an MA brief, and it'll be on all the products you've already got basically screened. So you'll have one run as a talk to go over this MA brief. And it kind of get your feet wet on how it's going to go. And then after that freebie, you'll go straight into basically your no shit graded position. So
Nice. Okay.
It gets a little bit more stressful, but it gives you a lot of time to really reflect on, like, how do I want to lead? How do I want others to perceive me? Or how do I want the workflow to be? Because, like, some people will be there until, 1800 at night, and other people are like, oh, we can take this back to the hotel and work outside of class. So it's really how you see fit with all that.
Okay. Interesting. And then when that concludes, you move on to Mod Echo. So what are some of the things you do in Mod Echo?
So Mod Echo, the focus there is much more on coin, and you're gonna be focusing on those
like irregular threats.
Yeah, exactly. Like irregular threats as well as like pattern analysis. So that's going to be a big thing. All these analysis matrices you're going to see so many. Like, I don't even remember them all because
Nice.
there were so many. But you're going to start to see these. And that's when you get to actually like solve the puzzle. Like, that's the
Okay.
MI stuff that
Nice.
you like. Like, for me, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Obviously, these things can transition to LISCO, but as far as how this course operates, you focus on those pattern analysis products in that coin environment.
Okay.
Missions. So.
Now, would you recommend getting like laminator or something, or getting these products laminated so that you could reuse them and like in the field or whatever for future use?
Yes. So I actually, for my talk before I went out to Capstone, so this is when in Echo everyone's prepping for Capstone. So you're gonna start laminating some of those documents that maybe you're like, oh, this is really good to have in my back pocket or in my toolkit. So I laminated a whole MA brief slide deck. Like, you can get military discounts at the, like, Staples and Office Depot, all that. So you just go in there and they'll do it. There's nothing on post as far as I know, so you kind of have to pay out of pocket.
I just bought a laminator on Amazon.
Or just get a laminator. Do that. Yeah, that sounds smart too. I did not even think of that.
It's like $30 or something. It was
okay. Save money and buy a laminator.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to Capstone. So this is how many days do you think this is?
So it's approximately 5 days, give or take.
And then what do you do during Capstone?
So the mission behind Capstone is to really get you in that like fight or flight mentality of like, this is your time to succeed as an MI professional. So you need to prove yourself that as soon as you graduate, you can go brief a battalion commander day one. And that's really what they harp on. And, I briefed my battalion commander on day 4. So let me tell you what, it comes into play. That's for sure.
Nice. So that's that kind of in a nutshell wraps up the course content of MI BOLC. What did you do for fun, or like any kind of nightlife, or like what did you guys do on your off time?
So my class was extremely social. With that comes a lot of friends, a lot of time to just get to know people outside of the classroom. Obviously, you're going to have your bookworms, right, that just want to stay in and maybe not go crazy, which totally respect. But I'm definitely a social butterfly, so I like to be around people. So for my class, we'd have different social outings. We like went tubing and saw wild horses. That was one that was super fun. We also did like a Halloween costume party, like in the hotel outside. And what's really nice, like I went during the fall, like end of summer, fall. So because it's a desert, it's warm like all year. So
I can't wait to go.
yeah,
I
it's so
can't wait.
nice. And like we were having stuff like in the gazebos until about November. So
Nice.
you can, and it's a great opportunity to get to know people that maybe aren't in your talk, because you're gonna be in talks the whole time you're there, and some people will never be in your talk the whole time. So getting to know people
Interesting.
is important because you get peer evaled. So make
Yeah.
sure you have a good foot.
Not just that, but I can imagine like the Bullock experience, you moving on to going into the active army or even like guard reserves, you'll encounter those same individuals again later on,
Absolutely.
just randomly. Like I've met plenty of people from my Bullock class in this country and other countries just randomly, and it's been interesting. So I'd imagine being
Absolutely.
social, learning, getting to know people there will help you later on down the road when you just encounter those people
And
again.
something really interesting I wanted to mention is, for my class, we had international officers as well.
Oh, same, yeah.
So something really interesting is like you can get to know other countries, so our allies, and just really get to develop that baseline. And I think friendships can really move mountains.
Yeah.
So definitely
Absolutely.
take advantage of your free time. Don't just hide away and study all the time.
Yeah. And do you guys have like a radius or like a limit to how far you can go on those off time periods?
Yeah, so like on the weekends, say you're like, oh, I really want to go to Phoenix. I want to check out the botanical gardens or something. So you can go to Phoenix without a pass or any leave or anything like that. So as long as you're in a 3-hour radius of Fort Huachuca, you're kind of good to go. Now, the moment you want to go to Sedona or anywhere north of Phoenix, because obviously you're not going south because that's Mexico, definitely you need a pass. So let's say you want to go to the Grand Canyon, you and your buddies are like, okay, we're going to split the drive, which a lot of people do. The biggest thing with that is making sure that you get that pass. So that's where your staff, S1 is going to come into play. So make sure you're nice to them because they're the ones that are going to make you, let you go. So just fostering those friendships and also those relationships and just being respectful, because, if you are that staff position, you're still a student, but you're helping everyone out. So
yeah. Earlier before this, you mentioned cultural passes. If you can't go to Mexico? What does that mean?
Yeah. So one of the really nice things about specifically Phoenix is the Phoenix Public Library. They have culture passes. You can just show up, and they're on first come first serve basis, and you just show up to the library, any library in Phoenix, and they can give you free passes to archaeological sites, history sites, museums, art museums. Really, you name it, they can probably give you a pass to it. So pretty nice. Hook yourself up.
They have any like gold mines over there or anything like where you can get like gems or anything? It's one of
So
my hobbies.
I know Josh really likes gold, but not that I know of. However, there is a place called Akosanti. Akosanti is a ecology reservation, and they
Okay.
actually forge brass bells.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
all of that is on the land, and it's a very interesting experience. So if you're into metallurgy, metallurgy, how do you say that? I don't know. Whatever it's called. You should go there.
Nice.
How do you say that? I don't know.
Metallurgy.
Why didn't you help me?
Yeah. So you mentioned being that's a TDY en route. You stay at the hotel. Do they have like a bar downstairs or anything, or do you like have to go out and?
Yeah, so they do not have a bar on site. So what I will say to this though, please drink responsibly, and please drink at the hotel, okay? If you drink at the hotel, you don't need to worry about the 0 tolerance limit at not only Fort Huachuca, but the entire state of Arizona. So if you get caught, and those cops, they be right outside, okay? He knows. He was MP, right? Don't just don't get caught up in the law, especially on your like while you're still TDY, you're not even at your first unit. Really think about that, and I don't know, plan accordingly.
All right, so what about the best food place? What was your
Oh,
favorite, or
best
tell me some.
food place, Guadalajara hot dogs. Okay, so this place, it's
Hot dogs.
authentic Hispanic food, and it is some of the best tacos, best hot dogs you're gonna get. I know you're like, hot dogs, Claire? Like, that sounds really weird, but hear me out. Go to Fort Huachuca, check it out. Especially if you're in BOLC, like, I would always have, like, my social events at Guadalajara
Hmm.
because they're so good. Oh my gosh. And it's like, it's one of those things where, like, everyone wants a hot dog. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Maybe like some carne asada fries or something
yeah,
like
can I have some, like, melon juice? Like,
that.
yeah.
Nice. Okay. So then, do you have any recommendations to lieutenants that are about to go to MI BOLC coming up?
So I would definitely say focus on running before you get there. Um, I definitely struggled in that area just with the elevation and everything. So I would recommend, if I was to do it again, to just really hone in on that. Because, again, even though you have 30 days there to prep, that is not enough time, especially if you're already struggling with just your run pace. So just coming into that knowing that I need to run and make it a checklist activity on your daily week to run.
So, do you have any like reading recommendations for people about to go to BOLC?
Yeah, I would say for sure read the new FM 2.0. That's brand new with all the new intelligence terminology. It'll just give you a baseline. I know some of it's going to be quite a lot, but even to just start touching up on that like terminology, like what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another one I would recommend is the ATP 2TAC 01.3, which is the intelligence preparation of the battlefield book. I'm pretty sure there's an update coming up, but right now that's what we have. It's what I just studied. So I would definitely start tabbing that sucker right now.
Yeah, and then at the very least, you already have it from Army Pubs. You can reference it. Yeah.
Exactly. Even like downloading it and just like using Adobe Acrobat to highlight
Mm-hmm.
anything like that is gonna really help you out.
Yeah, and then would you say the Russian way of war is another
Oh yeah, this
important one?
baby right here. That's gonna be important, especially in MI BOLC or really any MI schoolhouse
I'm reading it
curriculum.
for MICCC right now. So
Yeah, because he's a nerd, but I'm a nerd too, so it's okay.
So tell me about the MOVSM. You said that's something you can get there, another award or ribbon.
Yes. So if you are just super driven, you want like the triple crown of like Forging Leaders program, Rapids, and the MOVSM, what you can do is start volunteering at a local animal shelter. There's one right around Post. And what's really nice is you can get groups together and it become like a bonding time. Like, and
Nice.
obviously, who doesn't want to walk a puppy to get an award? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're so cute.
So Claire, can you tell me a little bit about what made you interested in MI in the first place?
So for me, I was always interested in like adversarial threat and just like national security. So with my major in college, which was English, I did a lot of analytical like researching,
Mm-hmm.
and so they kind of played hand in hand, which
Nice.
made it more intriguing for myself.
Okay. So did you do any kind of like internships or additional programs that got you like interested in branching MI?
Yeah, so when I was a cadet, I was selected as one of the 8 cadets in the nation to be a part of the National Ground Intelligence Center internship program. And for me, that entailed that I worked hand in hand with the intelligence community for 1 month. For me, I also was provided opportunities to work on an internship uh, project, and I could use that as for my major, which was English. And I was able to use those products and then get published twice in JWICS. So pretty cool stuff.
Interesting. So what does that mean being published in JWICS?
So JWICS is a classified database, but INJIC is constantly releasing different publications to help with national security and different interests like that. And so for me, it was really like very hands-on to see like the operational environment that we're working in. So that really sparked my interest for MI.
So that's the MI BOLC experience. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. Or if you're interested in other Army branches, then check out this playlist I got.